Mardi Gras time. Next Tuesday is Fat Tuesday, so we gotta eat some like really awesome stuff before we have to start eating fish for like the rest of our life or something. Today I do have a fun recipe for you. Got the idea for this at a great little Cajun Creole restaurant in Indianapolis called Yats on College Drive. Stumbled in there one night and asked for a menu because we were next door to the jazz club, and so just like to see what you got. And he said, the guy looks at me like I was, out of my mind, and he says, "We don't have menus." Just like that. Okay, I don't know what's going on, but I'm coming back tomorrow. So I did, and when we got there around noon, there were about 30 people lined up down the road waiting to get into this place that I think seats about 12. And you go in and there's a chalkboard and there's 6 things on the board. This is what we got. This is what we're cooking today. One thing that's always on the menu is they have this kind of cheesy etouffee that was really good. And one day I asked one of the servers, I said, "Hey, can you just ask the chef what kind of cheese is in this?" And he came back a few minutes later. He says, "Chef said to tell you it's aged Vermont cheddar." But he had a little smirk on his face. And maybe they make it with aged Vermont cheddar. I have no idea. I'm making it with Velveeta, which makes it awesome. So let's get making it. Let's have some fun for Mardi Gras. Here's everything you're going to need to make this fabulous cheesy etouffee. 1 stick of butter, 1/2 cup of flour, 1 cup of chopped green onion, 1 cup of diced celery, 1 cup of diced green pepper, 1 cup of minced onion, 1.5 tablespoons of minced garlic, 1 can of Rotel diced tomatoes with green chili. Now in the past I always used these mild ones, but I just noticed they had some hatch. I'm going to use those today for the first time. 1 tablespoon of tomato paste. Your first seasoning blend is 1/2 teaspoon of dried thyme, 1 teaspoon of dried basil, 1/4 teaspoon each of black, white, and cayenne peppers. Then we need 3 cups of chicken stock, 3 cups of Velveeta cheese cubed, 1 cup of heavy cream, and then our next seasoning mix is going to be 1 teaspoon of chili powder, 1/2 teaspoon of ground coriander, 1/8 teaspoon of cumin, 1/8 teaspoon of ground cloves. Then we're going to need 1/4 teaspoon each of Worcestershire sauce and Tabasco. I've got 1 pound of cooked crawfish tail meat. Make sure you rinse them very well. And we're going to serve it over cooked white rice. So I'm going to start by melting this butter over medium heat. So we're going to make a light brown roux. The lighter the roux, the more thickening power it has. If you get to a really dark roux like a gumbo, it'll have less thickening power and you just have to use more. I'm cooking this over a medium heat. Might just turn it up a little bit. I think I've told you before, if you watch my New Orleans videos, Paul Prudhomme always said, "Turn up the heat and stir like hell," because he spent his childhood, on low stirring roux for his grandmother, and it gets kind of boring. So I've got this over a medium heat. And the main thing is you just want to make sure you don't let it burn at all. If you burn a roux, it's throw it out and start all over. There's no going back. So this has been about 5 minutes now. And this is what I would call a light brown roux. And I'm going to add my vegetables. Again, my green onions, celery, and green pepper. And that'll cool down the roux. It will continue to darken a little bit. We're going to stir this for about 3 or 4 minutes just to soften it up a little bit. So this has been about 3 minutes here. And now I'm going to add our garlic. I'm just going to saute this for about 1 more minute. Now after that minute, I'm going to add our Rotel tomatoes with green chilies. I'm going to turn the heat down to low. We're going to cook this all together now for about 3 minutes. Make sure that you stir it a couple times and make sure nothing's sticking to the bottom of the pan. So now after that 3 minutes, we're going to add our first seasoning blend of thyme, basil, white pepper, black pepper, and cayenne, our 1 tablespoon of tomato paste, and then we're going to slowly add our stock. Add the rest of our stock. And we're going to turn the heat back up to a medium high. And we're going to bring this to a boil. And once this has come up to the boil, I'm going to turn it back down to low. And I'm just going to simmer it for a few minutes. You can see it's already starting to thicken up a little bit. I'm going to simmer it for about 3 minutes. So I've let that simmer for about 3 minutes, and I'm going to add my cheese, my heavy cream, my second seasoning mix, which is the chili powder, coriander, and cumin, ground cloves. I'm going to add a little bit of Worcestershire sauce and Tabasco. I'm going to give that a good stir. And I'm just going to stir this until the cheese is thoroughly melted. So this took about 5 minutes for that cheese to melt, and this is ready. Now I just tasted it for salt like I always would. It doesn't need any of that Velveeta, and a lot of the ingredients have salt in them, so it didn't require any extra salt. At the restaurant, we would just take it this far, and then per order add the crawfish, but that's not what we're doing, because you don't have a restaurant. We're just cooking. So at this point, I'm going to put in my crawfish. And again, this is about 1.5 pounds. It's a lot of crawfish, but this is really awesome. So we're just going to stir this in. And I'm going to plate it up and get a picture for you. I got to think of all the recipes I've put out for you folks. This is one of my very favorites. And there it is. A beautiful, I'm like salivating taking the picture. Beautiful bowl of my cheesy etouffee. Well, there you go. Another episode, kind of semi-exciting episode of Scratch Cook with John. I sure hope you enjoy it. You gotta try it. It's my, oh, by the way, I mentioned yaps. This is not their recipe, so I don't want to piss them off. It's my recipe for something like theirs that inspired me. So you guys, thanks so much for checking out the video, and I sure hope you come back and see more. I admit it, I had a little bit of a Mardi Gras party of my own this afternoon. I ate the, awesome etouffee that I just made for you, and I had a martini, which, it's not a hurricane, but it's my choice, isn't it?